This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's small engine repair, we're going to be working on this MTD. I guess it'd be a lawn tractor because it doesn't have the big garden tractor wheels. However, it is a 50-inch cut. The deck is outside. We're going to get the deck on it later. Hopefully in this video. If not, we'll do that in part 2, depending on how much it takes for us to get this thing back running again. What I need to do though is see if we can get it running. This has got 25 horsepower Briggs and Stratton on it. I was told I guess it just quit running and the guy couldn't get it to go again for some reason. Oh, the actual reason, or one of the reasons at least, is that the primary drive pulley for the Varadrive transmission that goes from the engine back to the Varadrive pulley is shredded and come off. So that needs to be replaced, which we'll do later on. Hopefully I'll have a belt here. If not, I'll have to order one. But we'll get it on. I am going to, first off, make sure that that it runs like it's supposed to. And if it does, then I'll throw the deck on it, make sure that the PTO and the blades and everything work. And because it's just a couple of clips to get it on, and then we'll rip the deck back off once the, in theory, if everything goes well. Once the belts come in, I'll probably replace both belts, and we'll see what we need to do there. So this is like a 3-piece hood, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to take off the hood with a few bolts and stuff, and this poor hood is cracked pretty bad, so I'm not looking forward to potentially having to do that, but we'll see what all we need to do here to get this thing back going again. Hopefully it'll be a relatively easy one, unlike the other ones, which were both engine swaps, the Husqvarna and the Sabre. So I got a battery in it. I'm going to see if we can jump this thing off. It does turn over with the park breakdown, so I'm going to see if I can get it to jump off. I'm going to put a little bit of gas in it, and just see if we can get everything pumping into the carburetor, and maybe this thing will just come back to life like that. I doubt it, but we will see next. Alright, so I have checked the oil. Everything looks good on the oil. Relatively clean. Let's see if I can put the park brake down so I don't have to. So the last time I did this, I didn't notice that there was any gas getting through the filter, or past the fuel pump, but it could be just because it was low. You know, sometimes them diaphragms just go out too. So we're gonna spray a little bit in here and see what happens. Like I said, I've already checked. I've already got the battery in it. I've already checked, and everything seems good on it, so we'll see if we can get it to at least fire here. So that's good. I'm going to repeat this process about 3 or 4 times to see if we can get it to. Gotta get the next can out. See if we can get any fuel to go. We could just have a swollen fuel line, but I want to give it a chance. Try a couple more times here. Pumping any gas up there. I can hear the solenoid. But I don't hear anything past the fuel pump. So I'm wondering, let me feel that line by the gas tank is pretty hard. So I'm going to take and take this hood off here. It's going to be a little cumbersome, but we'll get it. Got to open the door and let this place air out a little bit as well. Alright, so that one's already broke off. So I need a couple of 10 millimeters here. And we'll, like I said, I'm pretty sure that the fuel pump's not pumping. But I want to make sure that we have good fuel flow to the fuel pump, because I don't want to have any issues with that. With the fuel line, if I replace the fuel pump, kind of be null and void if I did that. So should be one more screw and I think I'll be able to get this thing off. Alright, I have to remember that, putting it back on. That hood's all plastic and it's pretty brittle, so I need to just kind of set it aside, out of the way. I don't think I have one that'll fit this style of mower, but here's what I'm going to do here next is I'm going to pull this line off. I'm going to try my best. I'll probably replace all the fuel lines anyways, as long as I know this thing will actually run. So if I do this, technically I should be getting fuel coming out. And as you can see, it's not a lot. So one other thing that could be bad is this fuel filter. Which we're probably going to have to cut off this line in order. No, I think we can get it. Alright, so it looks like our fuel filter is the culprit, which is good. I'm going to pull this up here so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to wipe this off real quick and then I'm going to blow through it. So we may be able to get by with just putting a fuel filter on it. Seems like it's doing better now, but let's see. Just a bunch of junk in the lines. We're not going to put in, we're going to definitely replace the filter, but I just want to see. Seems like it's fairly blocked. So I'm going to get a little bit of fuel line and a fuel filter first here. And we're going to repeat that process. I'm trying to start it. See if that that helps any. It probably, well, I'm not going to say it probably will, but there's probably I don't know, there's a halfway decent chance that it will, I think. Like I said, I don't know. We may have to take the carb bowl off to the bowl gasket, a bowl nut, in order to get it right. But we'll see. I'm going to put the fuel line and a fuel filter on it and see what happens. All right, I'm going to try and repeat that process. Got a little bit of gas in it. Nothing crazy, but enough that it should pump up in there. And I'll spray this. Might have to hook the jump box to this thing to get it to turn over, but I'm going to see if this will fill up now that we've got this portion fixed. This line right here is clear enough to where it should fill up. Alright, you can see it's slowly starting to fill up there, so I'm going to give it 1 or 2 more spritzes here of carb spray, see if we can get it to go. Pick up some gas in the tank or in the carburetor. We may have to drain the carburetor bowl out because there was some water in this, but we'll see. Try it one more time here, because we got to get it pumped into the carb bowl, so it does take a second. Come on. Alright, we're going to do it once more. I think, like I said, I think we've got some clogged carb jets and or some that's too bad. So we're getting gas going up to the fuel pump into the carburetor, but nothing. Checked the oil earlier. I just want to double check myself just to make sure. It's always a smoky mess whenever I do this. Yeah, we got plenty of oil in here, so. Alright, let me crank her back up. Uh-oh. Come on now. So we're only running on one cylinder. So either got a carb issue. We don't have a spark issue. Well, as long as the plug is good, we don't have a spark issue. I'm going to pull the plug. This is, ooh, I need to get some air stirring in here or something. Man. So, I'll take the plug out. It's the left side plug is the one we're having issues with. But it is running. I mean, it runs pretty darn good on one cylinder. So I don't know if I just have one cylinder that's clogged or the plug is bad. I don't know. We'll see here in just a second. We'll pull this plug. I mean, I doubt, and this plug feels wet, and there's a lot of oil and stuff right there. So I'm wondering if we just have a fuel related issue. We can probably check here. I'm going to pull this other plug so that it doesn't start, but hopefully I got enough battery juice to make this work. Oh, I will now that I have one of the plugs pulled. But sounds like it's not getting any gas. And if I look in the carb here, it appears that one of the sides is not jetting correctly. So what I'm going to do, and hopefully all I got to do to get it back, is pull this engine cover, which is just a few 5/16 up top here, and then a couple of 3/8 bolts. I'm going to shoot some carb spray down in that top gasket there, and I'm going to see if it comes back. I doubt that it's a spark plug issue, because the spark plug was sparking, or it was sparking going into the spark plug, if that makes any sense. And I'll double check myself right here, just to make sure that the end isn't compromised or anything. Let's see. Yeah, we got strong sparks, so it's definitely a fuel-related issue. I don't think it's any valves because it's not popping or anything. So a little bit of carb work I think is going to get us situated here. Let me take 5/16, 4 5/16, and a few 3/8 off. Here, a lot of times I'll take this fuel pump loose so that I don't break it taking it off as well. So let me take care of all that, see what we can find carb-wise. Hopefully just a little quick spray down into the jet will alleviate the issue with this. If not, we'll take the carb off and clean it. Just looking here, it actually almost looks like somebody had recently worked on this, because everything's relatively clean on it, which is really nice. A little bit of straw there from where something tried to make a nest, but that's just resolved now. Got the engine cover off. There's 3 screws that get this little top plate off of this carburetor here, and then there's a gasket on top of it. So let me remove all of that, and what I'm going to do is get some carb spray. And a lot of times, I don't know if I can show it to y'all on camera, but we can spray these jets right here and right here. They're the ones directly behind where the elbow goes into the carburetor for the fuel line. And so, so what I'm going to do is spray down in there. And if you spray it right, you can see a little bit of stuff go into the intake right there. So I'm pretty sure this is the side that's our issue. So let me see if I can. So I can see it going in there just a little bit. So I'm going to spray it some. I'm going to do the other side a little bit. And sometimes this is enough to get them to work. Not always, but sometimes it is. This may just be like a little bit of water or a little something clogged in there. And sometimes that's enough to get everything freed up and get it working like it's supposed to. So I'm going to get the spark plug back in. I'm going to wipe up the top there. Like I said, if this doesn't work, we'll just pull the carb off. It ain't that big of a deal. I think the starter's a little bit. Could need a valve adjustment too. We may just take care of the valves also. Just to make sure everything's in good shape. But yeah, so we'll put this spark plug back in. Like I said, I saw a little bit of spraying into the intake there when I just did that, so it'd be nice to see if that fixes our issue. So let's see, I got to put that top plate back on there. See if I can do this in one take. I'm trying to show you a little bit more of the repairs instead of just me talking all the time. It's always like a balance, you know. Couldn't get that screw in there. So we'll get those in there. We'll screw everything back down here. Let's use a screwdriver. So like I said, we know it's a fuel related issue because it's not popping, backfiring while we run it, so the valves aren't bad, and we got spark at the spark plug. So alright, so given all that, let me back y'all up, see if I can get this thing started again. I'm going to throw, while I got the cover off and while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put a little bit of WD-40 onto the starter. Hopefully help us out a little bit. And we'll give it a whirl here. there too. Carb clean on it. So I'm gonna pull the carb here next. Let all this smoke air out of here. My goodness, I think this thing's been running on one cylinder for a while, so that hasn't been helping matters. And we'll pull the carb. I think we just got a jet that we need to clean out, and we should be good to go. Like I said, it's trying to run on 2 cylinders when I pull the choke most of the way out. Okay, so I let it run for a few minutes, and it is definitely still only running on 1 cylinder, even though I did that. I'm going to take the carb off. I'm going to show y'all how to do this just very quickly. You have 3/8 or 10 millimeter right there, right here, and right here. I usually take the intake off. You got to take your choke cable off. And a lot of times what I also like to do for these particular carburetors is take off this bolt and then my other bolt here that holds the throttle mechanism on. And what that does is it gives me a little bit more wiggle room to get the carb off, but also those governor springs and stuff, which you have to be careful with as well. So I'm going to take care of all of that. With it being really cold outside, I've got to run my heat in order for me to be able to stand it in here in the garage. So I'm going to take care of that. We'll get it on the bench under a tray, and then we'll go forth with cleaning the carburetor out after that. I hope the heat isn't, well, I had to turn the heat off, but I was about to say I hope it wasn't loud, but I figured it'd be way too loud for y'all to hear me. What I have done, I've took it off. Pretty easy to do if you take it off via the intake like this. A 1/2-inch bowl nut right here, and then 2 screws to get the gasket and the bowl itself off. We got a little bit of junk down there in the bottom, but nothing crazy on the bowl. We'll get that out of there. Remove your needle, your float, your seat, or your little pin there, and then there's a piece that rides, that has an O-ring that rides right here. Put that right there, and your O-ring sits on it. That O-ring's pretty bad, so I have to replace it. Now we're at this point. We got jets right here in this, so we're going to take off the screws for the jets. And what I'm also going to take off are the top screws that I just did just a second ago. So we got all that set aside. We're going to pull this little top piece off, set it aside as well. And what I'm going to do is, so we've got the little jet emulsion tubes right there. What I'm going to spray is these. So I'll spray these, and hopefully what we'll see Get that out of the way there so it doesn't spray on it. Is some. So what we're hoping to see is, you can see this, see that, and what we don't see on the other side is that. So it's not shooting through. So what I'm going to try and do, and it's always difficult to get these things poked through because the holes are so small. I may have to throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner to do that, but I'm going to take this wire here and see if I can run it down through this side and poke it through. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get it down in there, and sometimes you can get lucky and poke it out and you're good. So I may just have to kind of go through a little bit of a series of spraying this and going this way too. So I'm going to see if I can get that jet right there free and clear of whatever junk is in it. And if so, I'll show you that. We'll put this carb back together, and then after that we will see if we can get that'll definitely fix the running issue, and then we'll put it all back together, hopefully. Alright, so I just took the wire here and literally just twisted it, and it kept going further and further down. And now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but see that? And this. So in theory, we should be good now, hopefully. And so what I'm going to do is put everything back together. You put this first here. It goes this way. Like I said, I think everything else is good. Everything else looks clear and clean, so that's nice. I'm going to grab a screwdriver. So it goes like this. You have an O-ring. Let's see. But I got to find a different O-ring. O-ring goes up top like this right here. It's more of like a keeper for the bowl almost. But we'll get that in. Again, your needle and float and all that stuff. Nothing crazy. Needle in. Make sure everything's clean. Unlike my area. I don't practice what I preach, apparently. But, yeah, so needle and float go in, obviously, the pin. And then the bowl gasket, I'll clean out a little bit. I'll put that on. And I'll get you back over to the mower. I'll show you how to put it all back on next. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can show you how to put this back on. Got everything back onto the carburetor. We've got to move that over a little bit. Needle and seat and stuff. And that O-ring that y'all saw inside that carburetor, I've actually on multiple occasions not put that O-ring back in, and one of the machines has been over 2 years since I accidentally forgot to put it back in, and it's had 0 running issues from a customer. So it's just kind of like a placeholder. I think it just kind of helps prevent things from falling out. But we're going to put this back on. Just wanted to mention that regardless. But we'll get these 4 bolts back on here. Y'all saw me put the linkage back into the eyelet for the throttle right here. And that's the reason why I take this off right here, is because it makes it a little bit easier to get that linkage off, so you don't have to bend stuff or potentially risk bending anything. And it takes, what, 30 seconds to take that off. So sometimes I don't. It honestly just depends on the day and how I feel. I kind of go back and forth. when it comes to that. But I'm just threading all these bolts in to start. Then I'm going to grab my, so I already put the 3 screws back on top here as well for the carburetor, so that I can see that it shot it all back out there. And so now I'm going to get my 3/8 socket. We're going to put these back on, and this plastic intake, the bolts are a little bit different, and they slide into them slots right there. So you got to be careful getting them in where they need to go. Okay. 2. We'll do this bottom one here next. Nope, not quite. There we go. Number 3. I'll leave that one a little bit loose so that we can get number 4 in right here. I gotta get the wrench to do that. This one's the slow because you gotta get the wrench in to do it. So I'll get this one in, and then we'll go down and do the 2 bolts for the throttle plate. We'll put the choke cable back on it and plug everything back in, and in theory this thing should run really good now. It'll be another smoke show though, I will tell you that, because I don't know how long this left cylinder hadn't been firing. So like I said, smoke show incoming. Hopefully y'all stick around for it. Really clicking along on these riders here so far. That Sabre that y'all saw in the previous video, I did in about 2 afternoons worth of work, so wasn't too bad. I'm just sliding the throttle plate on now. I'm gonna thread those bolts in to start. And we'll let's get that one in as well. Okay. Slide those on. Plug in my anti-backfire solenoid wire. And then we'll put the choke cable on. I'll make sure the choke is all the way down. It is. Send it over here. Need to get enough room here for that, and we are going to put that on with a 5/16 / 8 millimeter, whatever you find. Here we go. Okay, choke check. It's a little stiff for some reason. A little stiffer than it was to start. Make sure my springs are right down here, which I should have done before, but they all look good, so we'll get our fuel line back on it. Hopefully we're done with the carb work now. Make sure that that fuel line is good, and get y'all back here again. This thing should run much better now. Let's make sure that we've got enough gas in here to make it work. We'll throw a little bit more gas in it. this, I think we can move on to the rest of the machine. I got one tire over here that I need to put back on the bead and air up. Probably put a little ATF in it. And then, basically I think it's just going to be replacing the drive pulley, or the drive belt, check the pulleys and stuff under there, and putting the deck belt back. I'm putting the deck back on it, so hopefully that's it. Alright, everything's on. Let's give it a start here and see if it'll go for us. Charging while I'm here too. It's not charging, so we either got a bad, probably a bad voltage regulator, like it seems like it always is. I gotta see if I've got a voltage regulator that'll fit. This is the one screw type, which I think is a little bit different. Yes, it plugs in a little bit differently than the other one, so I gotta find one that works. Maybe I have one in the cabinet here. I'm not sure if I've got this type or if I've got the two screw type with the 2-prong plug. They're not interchangeable. So the PTO works though, as you can hear. So that's good. So voltage regulator. I'm going to get y'all underneath the machine after I fix the bead on this tire here. I'll get y'all underneath the machine and show you the belt situation. This is an automatic Veradrive setup. So kind of interesting was it's got a 50-inch deck, the Big V twin, but it's Veradrive. So kind of weird, but hey, whatever works, I suppose. So I'm going to get this tire fixed here. Get it back on the bead, get it all aired up, and then after that, I'll get the engine cover and stuff back on it as well, and then after that, we'll go about sorting the rest of it out so that it's ready to rock and roll. Well, it's another one of those instances where the video is going to be over an hour and a half long. If I didn't split it up into two parts, figured that this would be a good time to stop the video here now that we've got it running good. We've still got the issues with getting it driving and getting it cutting, which we'll resolve in part 2 of this video on this Huskee. So far, fairly smooth. Had to put the clean the carburetor on it, and do some other work to get it to where it's running good. And now we got to get the rest of it ready to go. So we'll do that in part 2. I do appreciate y'all watching this small engine repair video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Stick around for part 2 in a few days, where we'll finish up this Huskee Supreme. And I will catch y'all on the next video.